Bipolar disorder and gambling. Let's start off with a story. A friend of mine woke up from one of the most bizarre, realistic dreams. In the dream, 5 angels gave him 5 jars of gold worth millions of dollars each. He awoke from the dream to find that there was no angels or gold in his bedroom. Regardless, it was a very strange dream. He made his way to the kitchen where his wife was making breakfast. He quickly realized that she had made him 5 eggs with 5 pieces of toast. What amazing synchronicity! And it didn't stop there. At the top of the morning newspaper, he glanced at the date, the 5th of May, which of course is the 5th month. Something weird was going on for sure. As he got to the back of the newspaper, he arrived at the horse racing section. He lost his breath when he saw a racetrack called Ascot, 5 letters, with horse number 5 in race number 5 carrying the name 5 Angels. The dream was an omen, for sure. How could it not be? He took the day off work, went to the bank, and took out exactly $5,000. The next stop, of course, was the racetrack. He made sure to go to the 5th betting window and proudly placed his bet. $5,000 on horse number 5, race number 5, 5 Angels to win. He felt so confident. The dream was so vivid and felt like the stars were aligned. Indeed, the dream wasn't wrong. The horse came in 5th place. I thought that story was a good way to lighten the feel before we jump into a very serious topic. I found it in a book called Who Ordered This Truckload of Dung if you want to check out more inspirational stories that are similar. Bipolar disorder and gambling has been a highly requested topic on this channel. The reason why I've been hesitant to make a video about it is simple. I've never been a compulsive gambler, but I was the executive host and assistant marketing director for a casino. What deterred me from gambling was literally seeing the odds. I didn't have access to the slot machine odds, of course, but I could see how much people spent and won by accessing their Players Club card. I saw people who spent millions only to get a fraction back. It made no sense to me and really stuck. Most of what I talk about on this channel comes from a place of direct personal experience. I've had my fair share of addictions, believe that, and by a stroke of luck, gambling wasn't one of them. Through my experience working in the casino industry and all the stories I've heard listening to my audience, I've come up with a few tips that I hope some of you find helpful. If you've had problems with gambling and found something that made a difference, please share it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. The last note before I get to the tips is that this is a hard topic to cover. Some of us are so vested in our addictions that a few tips on a YouTube video might not be of consequence. Much of the success in avoiding addictions requires a multi-angled approach. Support groups, meetings, therapy, treatment of symptoms, recognizing and avoiding triggers, etc., etc. That being said, be gentle when it comes to your expectations of my video. I'm just trying to help. Tip number 1, treatment first. Most people with bipolar disorder gamble when they're manic, not so much during a depression. If mania is a dominant symptom in your life, your desire to gamble might be greatly reduced through treating the bipolar disorder first. I know this might sound oversimplified, but it gets to the core of what might be triggering some of the compulsive feelings. Speaking of triggers, tip number 2 is to recognize those suckers. Getting paid on payday might be a trigger for some to gamble with larger amounts of money. Bipolar-related irritability and restlessness can increase the desire to escape at the casino. Maybe you gamble more on anniversaries, birthdays, or holidays. Is gambling dominating your racing thoughts when you're hypomanic? Do you spend out of control during special events like big casino giveaways, a major sporting event, or after concerts? Do you gamble more when you're symptomatic, depressed or manic? Do you gamble more while using substances? I don't need to know your answers. Be honest with yourself. These questions are all designed to help you think about outside triggers that might influence your desire to bet $5,000 on a horse in the 5th race on the 5th of May. Tip number 3. Examine your cravings in real time with a sense of curiosity. You might start to notice that your cravings have a beginning, a peak, and an end. The beginning of mine usually start with my thoughts being dominated by the craving. Once I'm aware of it, then it starts to fester. It gets stronger. These feelings grow until it feels like the craving will last forever, where sometimes I'm literally crawling out of my skin. This is the peak, the hardest part of the mountain. It's also a crucial moment where I have a choice, like a crossroads, to follow my addiction down the rabbit hole or do something immediately to move away from it, aka bust out the best coping skills I have in my toolbox. A good way to approach this issue is by studying your cravings, what they feel like, and how long they peak. Examining the cravings in this manner can help you take back some of the control that they have over you. Tip number 4, replace an adrenaline sport with an adrenaline sport. If you've been gambling for a while, you've literally created these reward pathways and neural connections in your brain that light up like Christmas trees when you roll the dice, or especially win. It turns your brain into a giant adrenaline and dopamine pumping factory. Moving away from that is almost like a skydiving instructor becoming an accountant all of a sudden. Quitting gambling is harder the longer you've been feeding those reward pathways in the brain. Did you know that large casinos hire professional psychologists to help them design every aspect of their business to make you spend more money? No clock on the walls, a maze of betting opportunities you walk through just to get to a bathroom, pumping oxygen into the rooms, all the lights and sounds, you name it. Replace this adrenaline and money-sucking sport with a healthier one. The best one that I can think of is literally any form of exercise. This could be at the gym, a competitive sport, walking with friends, or a new hobby that gets your mind and body another way of producing some of those endorphins. The martial arts did that for me all the way. On to tip number 5, delay and distract. Sometimes delaying the decision to gamble gives you that time needed to get over the peak of those cravings I was talking about. Once you've made the decision to delay, some kind of distraction can greatly help keep your mind off the problem. I already mentioned going to the gym. Breathing exercises have helped me a lot. I tend to breathe a lot heavier, especially if I'm feeling withdrawal symptoms. Slowing my breath down can take a little bit of the edge off my cravings. Hobbies that stimulate the senses like cooking, riding a bike, or fishing have helped me through many hard times. Basically anything mindful. As I'm sure you'll notice, the cravings might come back the moment you stop the distraction. After all, I can't ride a bike all day long. This is why it's good to have several different levels of distraction. Something intense and something you can also do from the living room couch or even bed. I got into lock picking to keep my hands busy, while other people might crochet. Postpone that bet and focus on a mindful distraction. Tip number 6, make a video for your future self. I've made videos when I'm depressed, telling my manic self to take it easy, and it's made a difference in my choices. If you just lost your ass betting, make a video you can watch in the future that encourages you to not do this again. Remember to be kind to your future self. Maybe remind yourself of all the benefits of not gambling. More money for vacations, your family will be proud, you'll be able to pay bills, you'll lower your financial stress, increase your self-confidence. It's endless what you can say in the video. Tip lucky number 7. Don't do it alone. There are many warriors out there who have recovered from the most devastating gambling addictions, only to help teach others how to do it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are amazing programs out there like Gamblers Anonymous that are specifically built around the needs of people with gambling problems. It's so refreshing to be around others who get it. It's like being in a foreign country for years and finally hearing someone speak your language. Instead of spending time conflicting with those who don't get it, join a group of people who do. Support groups have been paramount for my growth process. Tip number 8, wherever you place your bets, visualize that person, casino, or event with a negative slogan. The casino I worked at had a slogan designed to insinuate winning. If I just changed the word winning to losing, it made their slogan a lot more on par with their business model. I remember a specific day when I was working at the casino's exit and noticed a woman crying as she walked out. Almost out of reflex, I asked her if she was okay. She said, in between choking on tears, that she had spent her entire budget and had no idea how she was going to feed her family. That hit me so hard. I was the marketing guy and host, so it made me feel dirty about the job I was participating in. That negative image stuck with me. It helped me embed the negative bias against gambling in my subconscious. Tip number 9, there are different types of gamblers. There's the casual gambler, the escape gambler, the professional gambler, the compulsive gambler, just to name a few. I fit the first category, the casual gambler. I might throw 20 bucks in a slot machine on a trip to Reno every few years. I typically go to casinos for shows or the food, not so much the gambling. The escape gambler uses the activity to escape the real world with money that did come from the real world. Depending on how often they escape, this can include dipping into savings for paying bills. The professional and compulsive gambler are only a fraction apart. The difference being that the professional takes very calculated risks by studying the game, calculating the odds, relying on statistics, and choosing bets that aren't solely dependent on pure luck. Pros often have spare money and don't gamble with their life savings. Compulsive gamblers are what pay the electricity and the paychecks at the casinos. Casinos hired people like me to wine and dine the people who spent the most. Like I said, one of the more dirty jobs I've had. We've made it to tip number 10. This last one is for all the people who gamble online. While I was researching this video, I came upon a disgusting surprise. I found a very long article talking about bipolar symptoms, types, treatment, addictions, the works. It was literally written, produced, and hosted by a hardcore gambling website. They are using people with mental illness, bipolar specifically, to bring us to a website 100% dedicated to online gambling. Made me sick to my stomach. I thought there has to be a way to stop this kind of poison from reaching our vulnerable audience, and there is. Just as you've heard of ad blockers, there are gambling and bet blockers. All the ones I saw were completely free. Just search for gambling blocker and the device you're using to bet. They make them for computers, phones, tablets, the works. I appreciate the people so much who make it to the end of my videos. Researching, writing, and producing Polar Warrior videos are a lot of work. It's a labor of love, and I enjoy doing the process. If it wasn't for all the people who watch and share my videos, I wouldn't be doing this, so thank you. If you want to reach out for support or support what we do, check out the link in the video description. Take extra good care, and I'll be back here soon with more Polar Warrior videos. Stay well.